Thank you for joining me for this rune reading. Whether you celebrate Halloween, Samhain, or Saints' Day, or something else at this time, I wish you beautiful celebrations and a lovely time for you and your loved ones. This time for the rune reading, I decided to select a rune based on the theme of inspiration. The inspiration that it is beneficial for us to receive in these troubled times. Because whilst we know what is going on in the world, and it is important that we know, we also need to sustain ourselves and to remember that there is balance, there is beauty in this world, there is gentleness, there is love, there is kindness, and it is from these qualities that we draw our strength. I'm just now going to share my screen with you. Here we are. Just make that bigger. One day I'm going to get faster at sharing. That is the promise that I have made to myself. So to come back to the rune reading, we have Sorolo or soul in its upright position. And this is a beautiful rune, never more so than when it appears in a reading when circumstances are rather troubled, because it does indicate scope for improvement, scope for upliftment, and also reminds us of our own responsibility to seek those things that we find uplifting. And it is never just about, feeling, well, sometimes we can feel a little bit guilty, can't we, when we feel that, everything is going awry around us. And yet we are deserving, and we also, in undertaking things that are fulfilling for us, even if it's just odd moments, we replenish our own light, and that gives us more to put out into the world. Many people who are radiating thoughts of gentleness, thoughts of appreciation for nature, appreciation for art, appreciation for the beauty of a memory, appreciation for, anything at all really that is of a positive nature. We can look into the face of a baby and we can see that soul, the beauty of a newborn soul. Or we can look at that baby and wonder about the world that it has come into. And we know that the thought that we choose to follow in that instant is going to have some effect on how we feel. Not just on how we feel, but on how others may feel when they are with us. Because our own thoughts and feelings, they become part of the atmosphere. And coming back to soul, soul is the sun. That's what it means. And we cultivate the sunshine. We all feel better when we experience the sunlight, or we see the sunshine shining on the water. Even if we don't go out into the sunshine, if we look out of the window and we see sunshine, most of us feel that it not only brightens our view, it brightens our day in some way. And the encouragement that this rune gives, especially in times that are a bit challenging, is about seeking beauty, inner peace, creativity. And there are many ways of being creative. When we choose how to respond to something, coming back to the example of seeing the newborn baby and thinking how wonderful that a new soul has come to earth, and how is that soul going to enjoy life and what is it going to bring? Or the other thought of wondering about the kind of world it has come into. That is a creative choice. It's a creative response. Many people think that creativity, which this rune very much encourages, is simply about producing a piece of art, drawing something, embroidering, painting, writing music, playing music. But let's look at how we respond to all of these things. We respond in a creative way. If we go out in nature and we truly appreciate that nature, there is a response that comes from there that is a creative response, because we have been altered by it. In that moment, we become different. In that moment, we have something different to give to life. And in that moment, we can carry that positive thought and take it away with us and allow us to ride on the wave that that thought produces during our day or not. If we go out in nature in the everyday way, as I used to, when I lived in Exeter, I used to walk to work across the quay, and I loved to watch the river flowing. And I always appreciated that part of my day. Lots of people would be walking in that direction, so there would be a continuous procession. And I'm sure that some people didn't think about where they were and the loveliness of it, but many people did. Many of those that I walked with said, that I spoke to, would say at the end of a tough day at the office, it was lovely to have this walk, because not only did the physical movement help to wash away the cares of the day, people tended to feel, either consciously or not, that that walk washed away the cares of the day too. And I know some people did liken it to the sound of the river flowing through the River Exe. And certainly that was how I thought about it. And that was just a commute. But there are times when we can go out in nature and we can spend time there, maybe in a favourite spot, maybe in our own garden if we have one, maybe in a park nearby, or just a beautiful place where people go. And we can see something sometimes that we didn't see there before. It may only be something small, something that touches us. I went to a favourite garden, which is a herb garden. It isn't my garden, it's a commemorative garden, commemorating the first pharmacy expert in Iceland. It was created in 2010. But I was so touched to see a marigold in bloom, this late in the season in Iceland. And I really love that beautiful, rich orange colour. And in a way, although it's simple to say it, it blessed my day, seeing that flower, and the feeling of the wind, and the feeling of the sun, and other things that I noticed. They brought more blessings, more moments of self-care, more gentleness, more kind thoughts towards kindness to the earth, thoughts of gratitude, for what is around me. Thoughts of gratitude for the opportunity and the leisure to do that. And then there are those moments when something just catches us. Perhaps we're watching television and there's a funny moment, listening to something and a favourite tune appears, or just some words that ring true for us, and we can treasure those moments and allow them to bless our day or not, because allowing is a creative act. Imagining, allowing our minds to take us on pathways where we contribute and also experience love, gentleness, nice things. And if we are into healing, we can send out these thoughts for others in a way that can be helpful, that is an act of giving. But I really wanted to focus on inspiration and to come back to the rune. Many associate the Norse god Balder with this rune, and Balder was said to be the wisest and loveliest of the gods. And it is actually said that a bright shining light shone from him. And we all have an inner light. But it was also said of this Norse god, and there are many other mythologies which have similar stories, that during times that were very difficult, he would return. Now I interpret that. I see that in my mind's eye, that when times are difficult, when there is a dire need, the qualities of love, healing and gentleness will once again resurge, because there is always a balance. The pendulum swings in one direction towards harshness that we see at the moment, and then it swings back in the other direction towards loving kindness. And we know that we can see that during different times of history, and the stories in mythologies and the beliefs that are exhibited by many indigenous peoples do indeed talk about these kinds of balances, and how, you know, at the moment, maybe it's not a good time, but it doesn't take much to tip the scales. And at this time, we talk about how thin the veil is between the two worlds. But what about if there was a membrane separating the troubled ways that we have now from much better ways? And that membrane was very thin. And we are only a whisker away from being where we need to be. And that all we have to do is to keep trying and keep persevering. It wouldn't be good if we didn't try, if we didn't uplift ourselves and collectively give ourselves the momentum to try, to keep going, to keep persevering for better times. And sometimes it takes the bleak picture to really push us, to really galvanize us into collectively creating something better. And how do we not know that we don't sit on that exact fulcrum point right now? That is an interesting and an encouraging question. one to which we cannot know the answer. But we can have faith and determination that it is something well worth pursuing, and to believe that we are only a whisker away does indeed give a sense of momentum, a sense of hope, and a sense of wanting to push forwards. And these are the thoughts that I really would like to leave with you. Thank you for joining me. I do offer personal readings, and details of my readings can be found at my website, K Cook Spirit Wings, or indeed on my Facebook profile, or on a couple of my pages. There are details of my readings. But I really do appreciate you joining me today. And one of the reasons why I have not read on the dominant themes for the upcoming weeks is simply that I feel that these are covered by the reading that I completed for the autumn equinox. So if you're interested, I would refer you to that on YouTube. But thank you for joining me. Let's keep our chins up. Let's look after ourselves and one another. And let's hold hope high.